Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is Roger Godwin, your host of the Outside the Box podcast. Glad that you guys tuned in. Today, I'm going to introduce to you my friend Foster Davis. I got to meet him whenever he was a young man in youth, and he is just doing some amazing things now. He's running a construction company. He has developed a skill that many investors would love to have because it's so expensive to replace old school windows. Whenever the historical preservation says, nope, you got to do wood windows, he's the man you call. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you my friend Foster Davis.
Hey, Roger. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good.
Man, that's wonderful. You know, it's been interesting kind of getting to know you a little bit, and I found out that you did construction because you were going to college for a while, got married, had a baby. So that's pretty cool. Met your bride at Higher Ground, which is one of our favorite places.
It's a solid spot. It's a good watering hole in this area for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're in War Acres, which I'm very proud to say they're in War Acres. Christy is their owner, and they have such an amazing heart and mission to just serve the community and the community of Haiti. They have so they got a school there, and a church there. Very excited whenever the world opens back up.
Right.
I'm planning on going.
Right.
So,
yeah. But
man, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you got going on in life right now.
Man, so I feel like there's so much going on. There's been so much life thrown at us real recently.
That's what this is about.
Yeah. So right now, what I've got going on is essentially this attempt at working for myself, doing construction. I've been doing construction for about the last 5 years, and I started working for myself in 2019.
Okay.
And so fairly new to it. Yeah. Trying to get some of the green off my horns, you know.
It just takes a minute.
Yeah. You got to make all the right mistakes. That way you become wise, you know.
That's right.
But so right now, just wrapped up a project, and I've been doing a lot of the kind of damage mitigation from this recent storm that we had. Doing a lot of tarping, doing a lot of tree cutting. Yeah. So I've been driving all over creation, doing all that. And then on the family front, my daughter is about to be a year old this month.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Man, it just flies by.
Oh my goodness.
My baby's 9.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And so that's been, a whirlwind. I wouldn't at all say that the COVID season has been a blessing, but in the sense of getting to watch my daughter grow up and getting so an unusual amount of time at home, especially being a single income household. That's been a huge blessing. Just getting to be there for it and not kind of just blink my eyes and then it happens, you know. But so that has been the biggest thing going on right now. Just watching Esther grow up. My wife is doing administration for a nonprofit. It's actually owned by my parents, called Cornerstone Project.
Cornerstone Project. Okay. And what's the purpose behind that?
We're primarily based in Lyrewood, and essentially we run a program called Strengthening Families. It's not naturally a spiritual-based program, but we've kind of supplemented into it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Because it just teaches really excellent skills for the family, everything from communication to budgeting to, you know, hits all of the important pillars that need to be instituted within a good family structure. And so my wife has had a big hand. I think her official title is Director of Ministries over there. So yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy titles. We like those.
Yeah.
That's very cool, man. Well, in Lyrewood, so for those of you that are not here in Oklahoma City, and even most of you that don't even live in Northwest Oklahoma City, Lyrewood is a neighborhood. Basically, there's a ton of apartments, and then they got just kind of it's not ghetto, but it's a rough area in Northwest Oklahoma City. And I actually grew up around I mean, not necessarily around it, but my grandmother's house is on Asbury. So we used to like walk down there where where the school is.
Mm-hmm.
What is that school called?
Two Lakes?
Two Lakes, yeah. So Two Lakes. And then it used to be Twin Lakes apartment complex. Now it's East Olabella. So I used to walk there as a kid with my aunt to go feed ducks. Because in the cul-de-sac right there, there's a little trail that goes down there. We used to walk through there and then go to the park and go to the apartments and go feed ducks.
Man.
So
I don't know if you want to walk down that trail anymore, man.
Man, probably not. I mean, I don't even think they got ducks there anymore, to be honest. But
yeah. I mean, if the ducks aren't there, it's not really worth it.
Pointless. Yeah. So it was good fun memories when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's 30 years ago, whenever we were there doing that stuff. But it was very cool, man. I love that. I know that your dad is huge into the local ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to him a lot, and I have my local ministry, but I have my international stuff because I'm called to serve in the international community.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, what about your backyard? It's like, I invest in some guys. That's my backyard ministry.
Right.
I don't have any desire to do youth ministry even anymore.
Mm.
I did that for a time, which is how I got to know you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And then just even Lyrewood, your dad's asked me a lot of times.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I love that he has a heart for that. And I got friends of mine that have their local missions. Like, if I can contribute money, but I'm not going to contribute my time.
Yeah.
It's just not my heart. So
right.
I'll go overseas for a month. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So
you got to be careful being a resource for my dad, man. He's a classic pastor in every sense of the word. He will
wear you out.
Yeah.
Wear you out. Once you're in, it's like, yeah. But that's every church. That's every pastor. You get people that have a heart and a passion for what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just go, go, go because they need people.
Right.
Well, what's something that you want to do? Like, what's your 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan. Man. Well, I'm currently not a homeowner. So that's definitely a part of the 5-year plan.
Right on.
Getting myself, my wife, and my daughter out of a 2-bedroom house.
Right.
That we're renting into something 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, somewhere in there. But yeah, definitely home ownership is in the horizon for me. Probably growing my business to a certain extent, just because you get to a point where things are sustainable, but you're always kind of looking on to the next thing, like, my business is good, but I could do X, Y, and Z to improve or to grow and in doing that. So I'd probably say where I would want to end up in 5 years from now is probably at least one more child in a house that we've bought and maybe renovated. I don't know. I'm still throwing that idea at my wife.
Don't do that. Just move into a place that's done, or don't move in until it's finished where you don't live through a remodel.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do it. I've been there, done that. A lot of people have been there, done that. It'll stress your marriage out. It'll stress you out. It'll stress your wife out. Just individually. Just
yeah. That's good sage wisdom right there.
Yes.
I feel like that's what everybody's been yelling at me is
just
don't move into a construction zone.
Take the advice.
Yeah. I've been trying to talk my way around that advice.
No, don't do it. Just accept what it is, and then rent buys patience. So why are you doing what you're doing right now? Like, out of all the things, you started out at SWAZU, now you're running the construction company and doing all that. So tell me how that journey is kind of taking you, where it started and where you are now.
Oh, man. Came back to Oklahoma City in my second year at SWASU to do an internship at a community center here in the Bethany Warwick area called City Center.
Yeah.
And loved it. Loved it. Got work to the bone, as these things often do,
Yes. They don't waste interns.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
They do not waste interns.
Got the luxury of being the first intern, which was great. It was a learning process for all of us. But did that. Was in the city while all my buddies were in, Norman, Stillwater, SWASU, or Weatherford. And so it was like there wasn't anybody to hang out with. So I would just go to I would go to higher grounds to kind of kill my loneliness, basically.
Okay.
And then, by the blessing and, favor of the Lord, my wife was a barista there. Yeah.
Winning.
Yeah.
Christy, thank you for hiring her.
And so, guys, if you're looking for your next wife, she's in a coffee shop somewhere.
Your first one, first and only one.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Not next.
Yeah, they're not replaceable, And so I did that for a season, and then kind of just did little odd jobs after that. After I finished my internship, went into work for a camp over the summer, Kids Across America. Essentially, after getting done with that, worked a few odd jobs for a while, and then got a call from my buddy's dad, who's been in construction forever. Mark Sharp. I don't know if anybody would know him on here, but he's out of Piedmont, and now he's a home inspector. So if you're a real estate agent looking for a home inspector,
bam.
Yep. Sharp home inspection. And so he trained me up, man. He was just such a good dude. Him and his partner Johnny, they were just kind of taking me through it and allowing me to essentially be humbled, but in like a good way, in a safe way.
Yeah. It's nice to have a net there to catch you in case you need it.
Oh man, yeah.
But we're gonna let you fall into that net.
Right. Over and over and over.
We'll let you fall in that net.
Yeah. And so that was my first bout with construction. I think the only thing that I had done previous to that was building furniture, and so really got to learn the ropes there. Moved to Guthrie after getting married. Worked for a guy who was flipping houses out there. Mm-hmm. Continued my education in construction, and then at the end of that season, moved back to Oklahoma City and worked for a wood window company downtown. And so that probably made up my first 3 years of construction. And now I've been working for myself for all of this last year. And
how do you feel about it?
Man, it has been the most humbling experience. Other than being a husband and a father, it is the most humbling thing that I've ever had to walk through. Just going from not knowing anything to having to learn like each facet of construction. Oh my goodness. It has been so good for me. But now getting to a place where I feel like I've got a good handle on it. I've got a good finger on the pulse of what's going on in this industry, in this market. It has been really great to use these skills practically, both in a sense of, getting to do it on a day-to-day basis, but also getting to apprentice guys in it and disciple through it. And also, getting to speak the lingo and, know how to talk to guys in construction and things like that. But definitely reaping a lot of fruit from those first years of really hard, education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a living not working 20 hours a day. You still dealt with all the stuff with COVID, but you said you got to spend time at home and seeing your daughter being raised, and you got to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want you to think about that, and everybody else out there too, and myself included. Like, one of my goals is to be home at 3:00 every day, unless I'm here in studio, because I want to enjoy my children.
Right.
I want to enjoy my wife, because I didn't for a lot of years. Being in construction, there's always enough work. This last weekend, I went on a fishing trip with the executives group that I belong to. The electrician almost didn't go. But then he's like, you know what? There's going to be plenty of work for the next 6 weeks. People are still going to need their electrical fixed. There's always work.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always plenty of work. So don't sacrifice your family thinking that there's not going to be more work later.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you don't take time for you, to recharge you, and to take time to be with other men, and to be able to take time to be with other couples, you are going to be drained. And I did it. I did it for a lot of years, and I almost lost everything because of it. I worked so hard, almost declared bankruptcy, a lot of personal stuff, and none of it was worth it. Working 20 hours a day, working 15 hours a day. It's not worth it. if I were to do it all over again, and I know I'm just talking. Sorry, I'm not mean to be preaching to you, but as a young man, like
I appreciate the wisdom.
I was in your shoes. Like I was made a partner in a construction company at the age of 23.
Wow.
And you're just a year older than that now. And I think the blessing of COVID is that it's been able to show people that you can still make a living and still take the time to be at home and be with your family. Because there's so many people that take that time for granted and think that there's always, I got to take care of this client. I got to do this. I got to do that. My wife told me, and I hope that your wife has probably told you too, that people will respect you more if you say, hey, I would love to do that for you, but I need to be at home because I need to be with my wife and kids. They're not going to say, no, I don't want you to go spend time with your family.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say that. If they do, you fire them as a client. Okay? Straight up. No, if you think you're more important than my family, I'm done. I'm good.
And so that was, I feel like that was a huge lesson early on, being a young married guy. Still a young married guy.
Yes.
But yeah, that's been the mantra. And even though hearing that before I kind of fully went 2 feet into working for myself, I still got caught up in the idea that like, oh man, I've got jobs right now. So like jobs got to get done, kind of deal. And so I think there was 1 week early into it where I think I did like 4 doubles. So like work, the 6:30 to 5, and then go home and eat dinner, and then come back and work from 7 to 10. And then, I think the Lord was like, we had a sit down moment at the end of that week, and he was like, do you see how unsustainable this is? And it's like, and do you see how many nights that you didn't get to put your daughter in her crib and things like that? And so, it was just an eye-opening moment where it was like, hey, how much is this money worth, man?
It's not worth missing putting your daughter to bed. Period.
Right.
I miss so much of my children's life. It's one of the few things in this world I regret. But I thought, I'm the only one making a living. I'm the only one that's taking care of my family financially. I have to be that. There's work. I need to go do the work.
Right.
Like what you're just saying. And I'm not just saying that to you. I'm saying that to every single person out there that knows, that works for themselves. If you are a person of quality, which you are, there will always be work. There will always be money to be made. And God will provide that for you. Period. It may be hard sometimes, but that comes down to you and your wife figuring out, okay, what are our bills? And building a nest egg so that way it's covered whenever things are slow. People that say it gets slow in the winter are just crappy contractors. Okay? People that say, my business slows down, like that's on them. Last year, I closed 17 properties in December. Yeah. Oh, it slows down, man. There's another. You just think that crap. Okay? You think that there's no work. You think that there's nothing to be done. People need help all the time. I'm just saying stay at the 60 mile an hour mark. You know what I mean? Like just stay consistent through the whole thing.
Right.
Don't let other people determine your schedule. Don't let clients do it. Last thing I need to know. How are you and your wife giving back personally?
Yeah. So my wife and I are currently, we're actually community group leaders within our church, which means we get a great group of people that come together every week, and we just pray together, dive into the Word, and just commune and fellowship, just within our home. Groups out of their houses and out of their traditional meeting spots and out into the community. And we've instituted something that's really excellent within our church called a Pushback Darkness Grant, which is money that the church sets aside annually to be able to essentially just push back darkness within the community. And so what we're working on currently is actually a grant proposal for 3 different spots within our community. One of those being city center, my old stomping grounds. Obviously, that came directly from me.
Right.
That's where my heart's at.
That's absolutely.
A church in Two Lakes that's actually pastored by Thaddeus Black. I don't know if you've ever met him.
I've never had the
Super dude. And then the third place is the food pantry that's in Two Lakes that he also directs. Okay. So he's a pastor of the church, and he directs the food pantry that's there as well. And so we've been looking at coming kind of shoulder to shoulder with them and really partnering with a community that's essentially in our backyard. You know, as far as being in the Bethany War Acres area, Lyrewood is not far away. Right. And I know that we had touched briefly on that earlier. So we're working on that currently. And then the other place that we're looking at giving back is partnering Cornerstone with Thaddeus's church to be able to do the Strengthening Families curriculum, taking in the entire family. Because there's not a whole lot of ministries that are geared towards the entire family. You have men's groups and women's groups and youth groups, and it kind of all divides the family among these three groups, which is great on a personal level. But as far as strengthening the core of the family as a whole, I just don't feel like you see it a whole lot.
There's not. There is a program called Family Expectations here in Oklahoma City that's actually ran by grant money. I can't remember who runs it. I think it's a program by DHS, but they have weekly meetings, and they feed husband and wife. There's children's care, so they can do that, and they teach a lot about what you guys are talking about. They go over finances, they go over communication, it's a phenomenal program. So it sounds like that's what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
But just doing like in a micro, like this is our neighborhood, this is what we're going to take care of.
Right.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's essentially, I mean, I know that we've talked about Lyrewood a whole lot.
Right.
But it really, I think that what has caused that desire is, I've been around Lyrewood since I was a freshman in high school. You know, my dad's history there.
Right.
You know,
he tries to get everybody.
Right. And he thinks he owns that place, you know.
That's right.
And so
ownership.
And so he's had me there like all the time. And growing up in Piedmont, you know, white bread community, I think the median home income in Piedmont is $80,000.
Right.
And just not realizing that this level of poverty is 15 minutes from my front door. That was a huge revelation for me. And so growing up, this has more so been where my heart's lied. And so now that I get to live in Bethany, literally, 5 minutes away, this has been a really great opportunity for me to be able to kind of get back to my roots in ministry and give back to the community that first kind of broke my heart for what Christ's heart is broken for, seeing the needs and the hurts within the community that's in our backyard. And so we're really just pushing all of our resources and our time. Our time is a resource.
Yes, it is the most valuable one.
Yeah. But all in that direction. And so that's where we're partnering currently. And then just trying to get out and, do things with our neighbors, having cookouts in our front yard instead of our backyard so that we can invite people over.
Totally, dude. That's awesome.
For a plate of food,
Guys, have a front yard barbecue.
No privacy fences.
No privacy fences. Man, that's legit. I like that. That's great. Man, anybody walking down the street's like, hey, you want a burger?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
One thing that you said, so a little bit more definition or clarification, I guess, on it is, so instead of having so at my church, we call them a circle. Life Church, they call them life groups. Mm-hmm. So with Frontline, you guys are talking about instead of having a group in your home, like y'all are going out, like and just having a meeting in a public place. And
we do both. So we're in our house.
Okay. Well, like pushing back the darkness thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. So do that. So that's great in that mindset. I was like, man, it's such a simple concept. Mm-hmm. It's really encouraging because you never know who's watching.
Right.
And to see some people praying over some other people, like they may think that's weird, but other people are like, man, I wish I had that. Mm-hmm. Force an opportunity to share.
Yeah.
Man, that's power. That's powerful.
Dude,
I love
it, man.
I love that. That's great. Well, Foster, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
No problem.
That was great. Kind of turned into Been there, done that. Let me give you some win.
Oh, yeah.
We never know where these things are going to go. Yeah. So, man, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for those that don't know what just happened, that's called discipleship, you know,
that's right.
Imparting some wisdom to the younger generations. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. A lot of people, Roger, would never, admit to this, but maybe he would. I don't know. He may love himself a little bit more than I think, but he has been probably the greatest resource for me as far as getting back out on my own 2 feet and just doing this business thing. What does this even look like? And so, Roger, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being such a great resource for me.
It's my pleasure to do it. And if you guys are looking for a contractor, they take care of some small stuff, some big stuff. He can do custom windows for the historical situation. If you guys are in HP, historical preservation, he's your dude. So tell us one more time again, your company name.
Cornerstone Community Construction.
I told him to get down to CCC so so we don't have to. I just wrote him a check, so that's the reason why. But and they can do some custom work for you. I trust him. He's somebody that he follows through, and in construction, that's such a big deal. So, Foster, thank you so much for coming on. And anything you ever need, man, just holler at me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Rob.
Absolutely.